So today we'll discuss the theory and basic essence of this particular experiment. The title of which, can you see the material?
Yes, ma'am.
The title is Identification of Linear System from Frequency Response Test, right? Now, this term identification is very important to us, so we'll have to learn what is meant by identification of a system. And in this case, the system is a linear system. What is the objective? There are certain some typos. Please note this: to plot the gain and phase angle. Now it's written over here various frequency. So it should read as to plot the gain and phase angle versus frequency graph. Here it should be versus frequency graph of an unknown linear system. So from the objective, it's clear that this linear system which is given for this particular experiment, the system is not known to us, it's an unknown system. So to plot the gain and phase angle versus frequency graph of an unknown linear system, and to determine the transfer function of the system from the gain frequency plot. Now, since this have to prepare a report, so please note down your assignments. Clearly note down your assignments, which should be there in your report, and report has to be submitted within 7 days. So the first assignment is to plot the gain versus frequency and phase versus frequency plots of the following linear system given in your instruction sheet. And the systems are k by s plus a. Next one is k into s plus a by s plus b. And the last one is k by s square plus as plus b. Actually, this is your prerequisite. You're being asked to plot the Bode plot, right? You're being asked to sketch the Bode plot. This is basically the prerequisite. The knowledge of Bode plot is prerequisite of this particular experiment. So in your report, first of all, the what you'll have to do, you'll have to draw the Bode plot. That means gain versus frequency and phase versus frequency plots for these systems. Clear?
Clear,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
This is question number one. Okay. Now this is the circuit diagram represented as a block diagram. Now this is A4. The full form of A4 is audio frequency oscillator. So with the help of this device, audio frequency oscillator, we can generate sinusoids of different amplitude and different frequency. Also, with the help of this device, we can generate rectangular pulses or triangular waveforms. But in this experiment, we'll be requiring sinusoidal waveform, sinusoidal signal with varying frequency and constant amplitude, right? So the signal, sinusoidal signal that will be generated by the A4 will be the exciting signal or the input signal to this unknown system. This unknown system, can you follow the cursor?
Yes, ma'am.
This unknown system is one LTI system, linear time invariant system. So from A4, we'll take the sinusoidal signal and that will be the input to this particular unknown system, for which we'll have to find out the transfer function. Okay. And also this input signal, the third box is basically a scope. That means an oscilloscope. And since there are two channels, as you can see, channel 1 and channel 2, you're familiar with oscilloscope because already you have done an experiment, which is display analysis and recording of waveforms in your second year. The objective of that particular experiment was familiarization with oscilloscope. Can you recall that particular experiment? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So there are two channels as leveled over here, channel 1 and channel 2. Hence, this oscilloscope is known as dual channel oscilloscope, right? So in one channel, the input signal will be given, and this is the output as shown in the diagram. This is the output, and the output of the system. You're exciting the system with a sinusoidal signal. The output of the system will be connected to the, or will be given to the second channel of the oscilloscope. Okay? Please note down that this diagram given in your instruction is a correct one. This is the correct diagram, and will connect the channel 1 to the input signal, and channel 2 will be connected to the output signal generated by the unknown system. Okay, so since it's a dual channel oscilloscope, hence simultaneously we can observe the input sinusoid as well as the output sinusoid in this scope. Now, I'm not going into the procedure because while we'll be discussing the experiment, we'll learn the procedures. But one thing that we must note, as I said, for this particular experiment, the input sinusoid should have a constant amplitude. And in this particular experiment, we'll keep the amplitude of the input sinusoid. We'll fix the amplitude of the input sinusoid to 6 volt, and this 6 volt, this amplitude is peak to peak amplitude. Clear? So 6 volt peak to peak, and only will vary the frequency of the input sinusoid. Okay. Now let us come to this particular point. Point number 4. In order to measure the gain and phase shift of the system, we'll learn what is meant by gain and what is phase shift of the system. Connect the system input. It's incorrectly written. The phrasing is not correct. Connect the system input in the X channel of the oscilloscope. Channel 1 of the oscilloscope is also called X channel, right? So as I said, the input will be connected to the X channel, and the output, the term is missing, and the output should be connected to the Y input of the oscilloscope, respectively. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And here you can see will vary the frequency of the input sinusoid from 50 hertz to 100 kilohertz. And the steps are 50 hertz, 100 hertz, 200 hertz, 500 hertz, so on and so forth. The frequencies are given. And this is quite obvious, but please correct it. The angular frequency radian per second. This one is radian per second. And also up to a corner of 10 radian per second. This one is also 10 radian per second. And this one is 50 radian per second. Right? These are the references. Another book is very important for this experiment. That is a book by Shahani, and the book is on measurement. Anyway, since we are not accessing the library, not get. But if possible, try to find out whether e-copies are available or not. I'm not pretty sure. Now, the experiment is based on frequency response analysis. So what is frequency response analysis? Let's have a very quick glance to this particular topic, what is frequency response analysis. Now, the sinusoidal test signal, we are applying or we are exciting an LTI system with sinusoidal test signal. Hence, the input or reference input RT. RT is denoted as A sine omega t. That is the input to the system. Now, if a linear system is excited by a sinusoid, then at all the points of the system, all the signals at all other points in the system will be sinusoidal. And hence, the output generated by the system will also be a sinusoidal one. And the output is expressed in generic form as Ct is equal to B sine omega t plus phi. Okay, so please note that here the amplitude of the input signal is A, whereas the amplitude of the output signal is B, and it's sine omega t plus phi. So please note that in case of a linear system, the frequency of the output signal and the frequency of the input signal will be identical. Frequency will not change, but there may be some relative phase difference between the output and the input. So for our convenience, we have assumed that the input signal, the phase angle of the input is 0 and the phase angle of the output signal is phi. Hence, the phase shift between these two signals is given by phi. So the magnitude and phase relationship between the sinusoidal input and the steady state output, please note this term, steady state output of a system is termed as frequency response. I repeat, the magnitude and phase relationship between the sinusoidal input and the steady state output of the system. It should be more precise if I add two more terms, that is the magnitude and the phase relationship between the sinusoidal input and the steady state output of a system vis-a-vis frequency or versus frequency is termed as the frequency response. Okay. So already I have told you that phi is the relative phase shift between the output and the input. And what about the gain? The gain is defined to be the ratio of B to A. That means amplitude of the output signal and the amplitude ratio of amplitude of the output signal to the amplitude of the input signal, B by A. Now in LTI system, as I said, the frequency response is independent of the amplitude and phase of the input sinusoidal signal, right? So in our experiment, instead of keeping the voltage fixed at 6 volt, we can fix it at 8 volts as well, right? In this experiment, anyway, we have kept the voltage fixed at input voltage at 6 volt, peak to peak. The frequency response test on a system or a component is normally performed by keeping the amplitude A, that means amplitude of the input signal, fixed, and determining B and phi for a suitable range of frequencies, right? So if we can determine B and phi for a particular frequency, then you will be able to find out the gain and the phase shift in that particular frequency. And if we can determine B's and phi's for a range of frequencies, then we can plot the gain versus frequency sketch, and we can sketch phase shift versus frequency plot. And these two plots together is called actually dB gain. dB gain versus frequency and phase versus frequency. These two plots together is called the Bode plot. Now, the signal generator in this experiment is an AFO. That means audio frequency oscillator, with the help of which we can generate sinusoids, and the frequency range will be audio frequency range. And also we'll be requiring a precise measuring instrument, because we'll have to measure, we'll have to determine B and phi. So in this case, our measuring instrument is the dual channel oscilloscope. So when we'll discuss the experiment, we'll find that there's a very simple experiment, very simple experiment, with the help of which we can determine the transfer function of an unknown system. And this experiment is a very special one, because in theory classes, often while we'll be discussing Routh-Lucas technique or Nyquist stability criteria, often I'll refer to this particular experiment. So for understanding of the theory part of linear control system, this experiment has got special significance. So whenever it's not possible to obtain the transfer function of an unknown system through analytical technique, the necessary information to compute its transfer function of the unknown system, transfer function of the unknown system can be extracted by performing frequency response test on the system. So this implies that with the help of the frequency response test, we can determine the transfer function of the system, or in other words, we can identify the unknown system. So identification of an unknown system implies determining the transfer function of the system. So that's why the name of the experiment is identification of an unknown system, unknown linear system, with the help of frequency response test. So we are identifying, we are determining the transfer function of the system with the help of frequency response test. The frequency response test and further the computation of the transfer function of an LTI system is a very useful tool for ascertaining the behavior of a system and to find out the stability. It could be absolute stability or conditional stability and or relative stability of a system. This fact can be appreciated when we'll learn or we'll discuss Routh-Lucas technique and Nyquist stability criterion. As I said, I'll often refer to this particular experiment. The transfer function Tj omega, right? So when we find out the transfer function of the system, the sinusoidal, since we are exciting the system with a sinusoidal signal, hence the transfer function is often called the sinusoidal transfer function, and often we replace S by j omega. And I told you to note down the term steady state, right? So in frequency domain, when we excite the system with a sinusoidal input, we observe the output of the system when the output reaches its steady state value. That's why this complex frequency is we know. S is equal to, we know, sigma plus j omega. And since we are observing the response of the system at steady state, hence the sigma part becomes negligible, the sigma part becomes 0, and S could be replaced by j omega term. So instead of Ts, actually we'll obtain Tj omega, which is known as sinusoidal transfer function of the system. Clear? Do you have any question? Do you have any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The transfer function Tj omega that's obtained is a complex function, as j omega is complex, and has both a magnitude and a phase angle. These characteristics are conveniently represented by graphical plots, and the most simple plot which helps us determining the zeros and poles of the system. Zeros and poles will describe the transfer function of the system that we know is the Bode plot. And remember, with the help of frequency response test and with the help of Bode plot, We actually determine the open loop transfer function of the system, not the closed loop one. Clear? Please note that with the help of this tool, in this method, we obtain the open loop transfer function of the system. And once the open loop transfer function is obtained, we can obtain the closed loop transfer function as well. So Bode plot, I'm not discussing Bode plot because you're supposed to know this. So Gj omega, it's a complex one, hence Gj omega is same as Tj omega. That is the open loop transfer function. Since to emphasize the fact that with the help of this method we are obtaining the open loop transfer function, hence I have written only Gj omega, assuming that it's a unity feedback one, otherwise it will be Gj omega. So Gj omega will have a magnitude Gj omega, magnitude Gj omega, Ej phi. Phi is the phase angle. Phi omega, this bracket will not be here. Now that this bracket will come over here. So taking natural log, we'll get ln Gj omega. This is the magnitude part and this is the phase angle. So what is a Bode plot? As I said, the first term in this particular equation is nothing but the ratio of B by A. Again, I repeat, B is the amplitude of the output sinusoid, whereas A is the amplitude of the input sinusoid. And phi omega, bracket will be here, phi omega is the phase shift at this particular frequency. At this particular frequency, phase shift between the input sinusoid and the output sinusoid. Input sinusoid to the unknown LTI system and the output sinusoid generated by the system. Please note, for a linear system, the frequency will never change. The frequency of the input and output sinusoid will be same. And that is not the case in case of nonlinear systems. Now, Bode plot consists of two plots actually. One is gain versus frequency plot, gain expressed in dB, that means 20 log B by A, and phase, relative phase angle between output and input. Phase angle of output with respect to input versus frequency plot. So from this material, do you have any query? Do you have any question?
And someone has asked something in the comment box.
It's not possible for me to go for multitasking. So while I'm discussing these things, it's not possible for me to see the chat box. What is the question?
And he has asked to explain the significance of using a sinusoid as an input.
Sinusoidal input, it's a frequency domain based technique. I'm not going to discuss all these things in detail because this is not the part of the, this is basically the prerequisite of this experiment. Only for your convenience, I'm just touching upon this particular topic. So it's a frequency domain based technique, right? And often we excite a system with certain kind of test signals. In time domain, the typical test signals are step input or impulse or ramp, and in frequency domain, the typical input is a sinusoidal input. Clear? So that's why this method is basically a frequency domain based technique, and the test signal is of this form, a sine 2 pi ft. Because of this f, this is a frequency domain based technique. Chat box এ কেউ কিছু লিখলে প্লিজ আমাকে একটু রিড আউট করে দিও. So
Okay, ma'am.
I'm closing this material, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is a report prepared by one of your seniors. the report is not a very good one. Anyway, so already we have discussed these things. The diagram drawn in this report is incorrect. The diagram given in your instruction sheet is the correct one. Again, I repeat, will connect the input signal to the first channel of the channel 1 or X channel of the scope, okay, and the output should be connected to the channel 2. And I've tried to write down one, this is 1 and this is 2, very poorly written though. So please remember that the input signal should be connected, input to the system should be connected to channel 1 and the output should be connected to channel 2. Please refer to the diagram given in your instruction sheet. Apparatus list, that relevant because we can't see the apparatus. Okay, this is a table and we'll be requiring this table, but let me show you one thing, that the first part of the table is pretty simple. The first column is the column for the frequency, because here we are varying the frequency from 50 hertz to 100 kilohertz, right? So 50 hertz, then 100 hertz, 200 hertz, 500 hertz. So these are the frequencies. And at these frequencies, we'll determine the gain, system gain, which is basically the ratio of B to A, and phase shift, if any, between the output and the input. And from this table, you see, we can see the input voltage, and while performing the experiment, we'll have to ensure in each run, for each frequency, we'll have to ensure the fact that yes, the peak-to-peak voltage of the input sinusoid is 6 volt. That will have to ensure for each run. So after ensuring that and after measuring the input signal, we have formed this part of the table, and you know how to measure a value from the scope. As I said, the measuring instrument is the scope here. So scale we have chosen to be volt per division. Scale we have chosen to be 1, and number of divisions, the excursion and the number of division is 6. So the magnitude peak-to-peak voltage is 6 volt, 6 volt, 6 volt, 6 volt, 6 volt, right? So peak-to-peak, we have ensured that the peak-to-peak voltage is constant. Now, before and this we denote, can you see this? 2A. The peak-to-peak voltage of the input signal, peak-to-peak amplitude of the input signal is denoted by a symbol twice A. Can you see this? Can you see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, how can we measure, or how can we assure that yes, the amplitude is remaining fixed, or what is the amplitude, peak-to-peak amplitude of the input signal? Simply, you disconnect the Y channel. That means you put the Y channel in the ground mode. Can you remember? A channel does have 3 modes. One is ground, the other 2 are DC and AC. So for measuring AC voltage, we'll have to put the switch in AC mode. Now for measuring only, or for viewing the input sinusoid, what can be done? The Y channel can be grounded. Then the second signal or the output signal will disappear from the screen of the scope, and only the first signal, that means the input signal, will be displayed, and you can measure the number of divisions of the peak-to-peak voltage, and you can multiply this division with the scale, and you can get the values. Clear? This way we can measure the peak-to-peak amplitude. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear, ma'am.
So this way, but there is another way. So I'll come to this table once more. But before that, let's discuss Lissajous figure. So what is actually Lissajous figure? So as I said that if I can put the oscilloscope either in ground mode or in DC mode if it's a DC signal, or in AC mode if it's an alternating one. Okay, so that is the normal mode. We can say that is the normal or standard mode in which we can keep the oscilloscope. There is another mode, we should not use the term normal anyway. So there is another very special mode that oscilloscope does have, which is known as X-Y, XY mode. Capital X dash capital Y, XY mode. So if we put the oscilloscope in XY mode, then what will happen? The time base will be turned off. Previously, when we put the oscilloscope in AC voltage measuring mode, we observe the oscilloscope, we observe the waveform as a function of time, isn't it? A sinusoidal waveform, which is basically a function of time. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Respond quickly. Okay. So, but if we put the oscilloscope in XY mode, then what will happen? That time base will be turned off, and in XY mode, in this case, in X channel we have given the input signal, and in Y channel we have given the output signal. Anyway, so if the oscilloscope does have two signals at these two channels, then when we put the oscilloscope in XY mode, the oscilloscope actually gives us the information about the dependency of one signal with respect to the other. Or we can say the oscilloscope provides us the information of Y versus X. Sorry, time base is suppressed, so we'll get the information that is how Y is varying with X. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
So in this case, depending upon the phase shift and amplitudes of the input and output on the screen of the oscilloscope, we'll get different patterns, right? So if there is a phase shift between the output and the input on the screen of the oscilloscope, either we'll get an ellipse like this. If the phase shift is 90 degree, then instead of ellipse, we'll get a circle. And if the phase shift between the output and the input is 0, that means if both the signals are in phase, then we'll get such a straight line passing through the origin, and this angle will be 45 degree, right? And if the phase shift between the output and the input is 180 degree, then we'll get, just follow the cursor, we'll get such a straight line. Clear? So you'll not, I guess you'll not get the book written by Shahani. In Shahani's book, there is a dedicated chapter on oscilloscope and Lissajous figure. These figures, or these patterns rather, these patterns are called Lissajous figure. Just a minute. Lissajous figure. Is it legible?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
So what you can do, you will get several YouTube videos and lecture materials on Lysage's figure in net, right? So go through this video lectures or lecture material and you'll be able to understand what is Lysage's figure and why Lysage's pattern, we are getting Lysage's pattern, why we are getting ellipse when the phase shift is not, there is a phase shift between the output and the input, but the phase shift is not 0 or 180 degree or 90 degree. Okay, so these are the Lysage's figure. Now we can put the oscilloscope in XY mode and let's assume that there is a phase shift between the output and the input and we are getting such a pattern, such a Lysage's figure. Then the projection on the x-axis, which is this much, can you follow, will give us the input amplitude. This is 2A. Can you see this?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is 2A, that is the amplitude of the input signal. And the projection on the y-axis, so this is the length. Projection on the y-axis, that is the amplitude of the output signal. So that will call 2B.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you see at this 2 point, the ellipse is intersecting the y-axis. So this length is called the y-intercept. And this will call 2C. Clear?
Clear,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So if you go through those lecture materials, then you'll find that the dB gain or gain, it's quite clear from this. It's input amplitude, this is output amplitude. So the gain at that particular frequency will be 2B by 2A. And the dB gain will be 20 log 2B by 2A. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Also, it can be proved that the phase shift between the output and the input, that means phase angle, relative phase shift, phase angle of the output with respect to the input, phi is equal to sine inverse of 2C by 2B. So the relative phase shift at that particular frequency is given by phi equal to sine inverse 2C by 2B. So far, is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Also, let me show you another diagram, then I'll go back to that particular table. Now, if we put the oscilloscope, if we switch the oscilloscope from XY mode to AC mode, right? So we'll get two waveforms. One is the input waveform, another one is the output waveform, output sinusoid, right? In this report, the input waveform and the output waveforms are not labeled properly. So we'll have to plot these waveforms as well. That is also part of your report. And you'll have to label the output and the input waveform. Now, if we find out after calculation, if we find that phi is positive, if phi is positive, that means the phase angle of output with respect to input, that means what will be the conclusion? The output is leading with respect to the input, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So output is leading
Yes,
with
ma'am.
respect to input. So that means in this particular waveform, which one will be the output?
Left one is the output.
This one is the output signal and this one is the input signal. Am I right? Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, if there is no phase shift, that means if they're in phase, so one will be the output signal, the other one will be the input signal. So the angle, if we compute, after computing, if we find that phi is 0, that means they're in phase, right? And if we find that the phase angle is negative, that means the output will be lagging with respect to the input. So you'll have to draw two waveforms. For one leading case, you'll have to draw one waveform or one such plot for this in phase case, and you'll have to draw one plot for this lagging case. Okay. Now we'll have to note down. You have pen and paper with you? So let's see the first case. So we have set the frequency at 50 hertz, right? So we have put the oscilloscope in XY mode, okay? And in XY mode, we have measured 2A and we have found that it's 6 volt. If it's not 6 volt, then we'll have to tune our A4 so that the amplitude becomes 6 volt, okay? Similarly, by choosing a proper scale, and we can measure the y-intercept, that is 2c. Here the scale is 0.2 volt per division and number of divisions 0.6. Hence, for the first case, for the first frequency 50 hertz, the magnitude is 0.12. Right? Now, again, from the Lissajous pattern, we can measure 2B, that means the output. After doing that, again, we'll put the oscilloscope in SE mode and we'll observe the input signal and the output signal, both the signals on the scope, and therefrom we'll conclude whether the output is leading the input or not. And for this lower frequencies, we'll find that the output will indeed lead the input, right? And while we'll be computing a second table, from this table we'll have to compute another table, and there we'll find that the phase angle will come out to be, most probably will come out to be positive, and hence we can corroborate our findings here. So please note down the values. Just prepare a table having first column with serial number, second column frequency in hertz, prepare the table, frequency in hertz. The third column is 2A, the fourth column is 2B, sorry, 2C, sorry, fourth column is 2C, and the fifth column is 2B. Have you drawn the table?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now in the frequency column, put these values 50, then 100, then 200, 500, 1K, 4K, in the second column, write down this values having proper unit. 50 hertz, 100 hertz, 200 hertz, 500 hertz. Next one is 1 kilohertz. Next one is 4 kilohertz, so on so forth. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now in the next column, that means column labeled as 2A, put these values against these frequencies, that is 6, 6, 6, all the values will be 6. Done?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. Now 2C. Next column 2C. So for 50 hertz, the value of 2C is 0.12. Note down. For 100, আচ্ছা একসাথে 2C আর 2B টা বলে দেবো?
Okay, ma'am.
So for 50 hertz, the value of 2C is 0.12 and the value of 2B is 0.6. For 100 hertz, the value of 2C is 0.24 and the value of 2B is 0.62. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
For 200, the value of 2C is 0.44 and the value of 2B is 0.74. For 500, the value of 2C is 1.08 and that of 2B is 1.44. For 1K, the value of 2C is 1.85 and the value of 2B is 2.5. (1.85) and 2.5. 4K, the value of 2C is 0.3 and value of 2B is 4.7. For 4.2K, the value of 2C is 0.2 and value of 2B is 4.8. . For 4.4K, the value of 2C is 0 and value of 2B is 4.9. For 5K, the value of 2C is 0.4 and value of 2B is 4.7. For 16K, the value of 2C is 2.1 and the value of 2B is 4.2. For 20K, the value of 2C is 2.2 and the value of 2B is 2.7.
Ma'am, 17K.
Huh? Huh?
Ma'am, please could you repeat 2C value
Which one? For which frequency?
for 20K?
Value of 2C is 2.2.
Just a moment. 20K. 20K 2C is 2.2 and 2B is 2.7.
Okay.
Value of 2C. Okay, ma'am.
For 50K, the value of 2C is 1.1 and the value of 2B is 1.2. For 100K, the value of 2C is 0.6 and the value of 2B is 0.7. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now from these values, now we'll have to compute a table. I'm showing you the table. Please note down the columns. Now, this is not the correct form of the table. You'll have to compute this table, right? So the first column is the serial number 1. The second column is frequency and will represent or will express frequency in hertz because we have set the frequencies in hertz, 50 hertz, 100 hertz. And then the next column will be the angular frequency. We'll have to express the frequencies in angular frequencies, that means radian per second. So this frequency, this column is going to be the next column after the serial number, and it will have two sub columns. One is frequency in hertz and the other one is the angular frequency. Clear?
Clear, ma'am.
The next column is going to be your gain. This index part should not be there, it's not correct. The gain in dB. So as I said, 20 log 2b by 2a. 2b values for each frequency. So 2b values are given, 2c values are given, 2a values are given. And the second column will be phase shift in degree.
Ma'am, could you repeat once again the
Yes. Serial number, then your frequency. This column will have two sub columns. One is frequency in hertz, and then the frequency or angular frequency in radian per second. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
To draw a line like this, then your next column, which is gain. In dB. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
The next column will be phase shift in degree. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
And the last column is the remark column. Since we can't see the waveforms on the oscilloscope, hence after we calculate the phase shift, and if I, as I said, if you find that the phase shift is positive, then the remarks will be output with respect to input within bracket remarks, output with respect to input, and the remarks will be leading or in phase or lagging. Is the table clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So you'll have to compute.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, 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 yes. Do you have any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So from the values given, we'll have to compute this particular table. And gain, as I said, is in dB will be 20 log 2b by 2a. Phase shift will be sine inverse of 2c by 2b. Yeah. And if you find the phase angle to be positive, the remark will be the output with respect to
Leading.
input is leading. And in this particular frequency, 4.4 kilohertz, probably it will get around this frequency. We find that both the signals are in phase. So compute this table, and then for identification purpose, you'll have to learn Bode plot. So from the first plot, as I said, will be a gain versus frequency plot, gain versus angular frequency plot. And you see, we have varied the frequency over a wide region. Hence, the Bode plots are drawn on semi-log graph paper. Semi-log graph paper. So this is the log axis, and the y-axis is a linear one. That's why the graph paper is called a semi-log graph paper. You have to get semi-log graph paper. Okay. So in the x-axis, we plot the frequencies, and here you'll have to plot the dB gain. So this plot is called magnitude versus frequency plot. And you'll have to get to semi-log graph papers. Hope you'll get semi-log graph papers. Okay, now from that, so this is the actual plot, and from on this actual plot, we'll have to fit an asymptotic plot. If you go through the material on a good material on Bode plot, you'll find what is called an asymptotic plot. So this is one asymptotic plot. So we are approximating this portion of the magnitude versus frequency plot with the help of the straight line, and this plot with the help of this straight line, piecewise linear representation. That's why this kind of plots are known as asymptotic plots. Okay, so you see there is a sharp change in slope at this particular point, and it was this portion has a zero slope, and in this portion we get a slope, constant slope, which is 20 dB per decade. If you draw, you'll find that it will be 20 dB per decade. So that means this point is identified as a corner frequency, and since the slope is increasing, that means at this point we'll be getting a zero of the system. A zero of an open loop zero will be present at this particular point. So that's why it's called a corner point. Similarly, at this particular point, at this particular frequency, you see again the slope is changing from plus 20 dB per decade to 0. Okay, slope is decreasing. That means here we do have an open loop pole of the system, and that's why the effect of the zero is effect of the zero is being nullified by the effect of the presence of a pole at this point. And again at this frequency, the slope is changing from 0 to minus 20 dB per decade. Hence, again at this point, we'll have at this particular frequency, at this particular location, we'll have an open loop, another open loop pole, the second open loop pole of the system. So, identify that the system is at this particular location, one open loop at this particular location, the second open loop pole at this particular location. So we have identified the locations of the open loop poles and zeros of the system, and hence with the help of this magnitude frequency to obtain from Tj omega, you can as well derive, you can as well write down the transfer function Ts. Clear? You'll have to brush up the knowledge on Bode plot. So you'll have to construct this plot. I don't know whether these values are correct or not. I'm not at all sure. So while you'll be submitting your, you'll be preparing your report, you'll have to plot this. You'll have to identify the locations of the open loop zeros and poles, right? And therefrom, you'll have to find out the transfer function of the system. So in this report, what I find that identification of the transfer function, they have found, or he or she has found a zero at this location and these two poles at these two locations, though I'm not sure whether these values are correct or not. Please do it. And you'll have to submit your report. So it's a second order system. And from this, simplified and obtain the transfer function of the system. So our purpose is solved. That is, we have identified the unknown linear system, the transfer function of which was not previously known. And with the help of this simple experiment, hardly, if you perform this experiment, it will take, for taking the readings, it will take hardly 45 minutes. And for calculation purpose and for drawing of this dots, etc., another say 1.5 hours or 2 hours most. So it's a very simple experiment, and extensively we use it. And from this transfer function, you see, you can find out the phase angle phi. This is the constant, so it will not contribute to any phase angle. For this, we'll get for the zero, we'll get a positive phase angle. The zero will contribute towards a positive phase angle, and these two poles, since they are in the denominator of GS, so they will contribute negative phase angles. So from this table, you see, already in this table, we have calculated the phase shift. And this phase shift we have calculated, or these are experimentally obtained phase shift. Experimentally obtained phase shift. Okay. Whereas once we obtain the transfer function, assuming the transfer function to be an accurate one, from this transfer function also we can calculate the theoretical or actual phase shift. And hence we can compare these two to find out how accurate our experiment was. So These are the theoretical phase shift calculated from this experiment, from this expression, sorry, from this expression. Can you follow? Am I going too fast? Can you follow?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
then you'll have to plot, you'll have to sketch another plot, this kind of plot. That means phase shift vis-a-vis frequencies again on the similar graph paper. And what are these two plots? So one is phase versus frequency plot for, anyway, one is experimentally obtained phase shift, another is theoretical phase shift, which we have calculated from the transfer function after obtaining the transfer function. Clear? You'll have
Yeah.
to show one sample calculation like this. One sample calculation you'll have to present so that I can understand, yes, you have calculated all those values. Values are not arbitrary. Now in your laboratory instruction sheet, you will find the what should be there, what are to be provided in your report. Plot dV gain versus angular frequency. So this will be number 2. The first one was those Bode plots. Clear? So this will be number 2, plot the dV gain versus angular frequency, radian per second, and phase angle versus angular frequency plots on a similar graph paper. And here we'll get two phase angles, two sets of theoretically obtained, and another is experimentally obtained. Fit the asymptotes as I've explained to find out the corner points and identify the transfer function of the system. Also, it's written over here, plot the theoretical versus frequency. And along with this, please try to find out some materials, good things on the YouTube, and try to explain this, try to expression. How does the shape of the Lissajous figure in case of a nonlinear system? As I said, in case of a nonlinear system, the frequency of outer sinusoid may not remain same. Okay. And question number 2 is mandatory. You have to ask. Sorry. And 3 and 4. Those will be able to answer these two questions correctly. Certainly they will get, they'll secure high marks. So now is it clear how to prepare the lab report? Clearly write down your name, section, and roll number. I'll give you an instruction, clear instruction about how you should name your report. What should be the name of your PDF report? So that very easily I can download all those reports. and the time is 7 days. Before next Saturday, you'll have to submit the reports. Clear? Absolutely clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just a moment. Don't leave the meeting right now. So I'm closing this. I'm closing this as well. আচ্ছা কতক্ষণ টাইম দিতে পারবে মিনিট 5 হ্যালো
Yes, ma'am. No problem.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
then I'll show you a video
Yes, ma'am.
and you'll be able to see the actual setup. ফুল স্ক্রিন করব কি করে ফুল স্ক্রিন করতে গেলে চলে যাচ্ছে ক্যান ইউ সি দ্য ভিডিও
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right bottom corner is designed as.
yes can you see the video so this
Yes,
is
ma'am.
this is our system. It's a black box because the system is unknown. These two are the input terminals, ground points, and these are the output terminals. So the black box is our linear system, and this is the frequency oscillator. Okay, and with the help of this oscillator, I don't know whether you'll be able to see this. We can generate triangular wave, rectangular pulse, as well as sinusoidal waveform. So this is the system. So the A output has been connected to the input to the system, and this is our dual channel oscilloscope. The input to the system has been connected to channel X, and the output from the system has been connected to the channel Y. Okay, so these are the buttons, and with the help of this button, we can, as you can see, we can select a particular range of frequencies. Like if I press this button, then I'll be able to select 10 hertz to 100 hertz, this range of frequencies. And this is the sinusoid, so we'll have to press this button as well. And with the help of this knob, we can select, we can fix the amplitude, peak to peak amplitude of the sinusoidal signal. We have taken the output from the AFO and we have given that that sinusoidal signal to the input of this system. The output has been connected to the Y channel, right? And probably we have set the nature of the ellipse suggests that we have set the frequency to 20 kilohertz or 50 kilohertz, very low frequency. And this is the Lissajous figure. This is the output, SC mode, and this is XY mode. Can you see? This is the XY mode. So if you put the oscilloscope in XY mode, then the time base will be turned off. And these are the knobs with the help of which we can select the scales. This is the Lissajous figure, a very narrow ellipse. So it suggests that our frequency is very low. The frequency of the sinusoid signal, which is input to the system, is pretty low. And in the previous figure, so if we ground the X channel, then we'll get the Y amplitude, a vertical line which will give us the Y amplitude. And if we ground the Y channel, then we'll get a horizontal line which is equivalent to the amplitude of the input signal, right? And we'll have to check whether the input is 6 volt or not, and accordingly we'll have to tune that. And here you see 1 2 3 1 2 3, so 6 divisions, and we have set the scale at 1 volt per division, hence the input amplitude. And now we are changing the frequency and we are getting such an ellipse, Lissajous figure. This is y-intercept. The horizontal projection will give us the x-intercept, and the vertical projection, this is the scale. And the vertical projection will give us 2b. This is channel X, first channel, the other channel will be channel Y. So if you ground the X channel, we'll get a vertical line which will give us the output amplitude, which is equal to 2b. We are changing the scale. So we have put both the channels in alternating mode, in SE mode, and hence we can see the two input and output signals and comparing the phases or the peak values or the zero crossing. We can decide upon the fact that whether the output is leading the input, or the output is in phase with the input, or the output is lagging the input. Clear? So that we are trying to do. We're trying to match the peaks of both the signals so that we can. And this knob, with the help of this knob, within a particular range that we have selected by pressing a black switch, we can select a specified frequency. So, do you want me to play the video once again? Or is it clear?
No, ma'am.
No, it's clear.
So, did you get some feel about this experiment? What is our objective? What we are doing? Did you get some feel about this experiment? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So prepare the report, then you will get more insight, because as I said, this experiment is a very, very important experiment. Okay. And we'll be requiring this concept of frequency response in our theory classes as well. So if you don't have any question, then I can end the session.